Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Project Pro Tech Talks. We are honored to have Harveen with us today. Harveen has been a developer for over 7.5, 8 years right now. Currently, Harveen is a data scientist with Thoughtworks. Before that, he spent his career as a specialist programmer and technologist for almost 7 years at Infosys and Wipro. Harveen, very interestingly, is also a key contributor to an open source speech recognition project called Vakyansh, which he will share with us more. Harveen, thank you for being here.
Yeah, thank you for having me here.
Okay. Harveen, would love to start off by understanding what is Vakyansh. How did you, get the idea for it, and how did you start working on it? Yeah.
Okay, so actually Vakyansh is a mission, our mission to save the Indic languages. So right now we have a lot of, if you see the NLP space,
Yeah.
there are a lot of languages, right? And we do not have the right data sets and we do not have the right problems to work with local languages, right? Like Hindi, Telugu, Tamil, Kannada. There is a lot of shortage of data sets and good quality open source models in the Indic speech community.
Okay.
Right. So Vakyansh was our mission to actually democratize the area of speech recognition in Indic languages. So what we are saying is we are open sourcing our state-of-the-art models on Hindi and all the official 22 languages. Currently, it is offered only in 8 languages, but we are expanding to other languages as well. And what we are saying is that we are trying to collect high quality data sets. Plus, we are trying to create the state of the art models in using the Vakyansh toolkit. So basically, we are also saying that anyone can do it, not even us. So we are also open sourcing tools to create data. Okay, so that is a very important step because without data, we won't reach anywhere. And
Mm.
if we see the speech community on a larger scale, we have a lot of open source data sets in English. But if you come to India, I mean, there are no quality open source data sets in Hindi or any other language as well. So that is our mission to create data to solve this problem of speech recognition so that people start building speech enabled products. Like if you have Alexa at home, right? It is in English. So why
Right.
not in Hindi? Why not in local language, right? So
Mm.
so we are actually enabling people to create those products using our platform or framework, whatever you call it. And that was a mission with the open sourcing Vakyansh. And this Vakyansh is actually funded by Ekstep Foundation, which
Mm.
is Nandan Nilekani's non-profit CSR.
Yeah.
And so that is why we are closely working with a lot of officials in the country to democratize the process of language collection and data set creation.
Very interesting. It's a very, very inspiring mission. And you made the point about you are providing tools to actually create data sets. What
Yes.
does it exactly mean? Because all of us are used to just getting data sets from somewhere. Could you help us understand what you mean by creating the data set?
Yes. So see, a lot of AI now towards is moving to a data centric AI, which means that the models are already there and the
Mm.
models change after every 3 or 4 months. There is a new
Mm.
state of the art in every 3 or 4 months. Okay.
Mm. Mm.
But how do you create a data centric AI? I mean, keeping the model same, can you
Mm.
improve the performance of your model or not?
Mm.
If you can do it, you can only do it by changing your data. Okay. And that is why if you change the quality of data, I mean, if you have say like 80% noisy data today, and if you can reduce it to 50%, then I think you are in a better space to build better products you are using the same amount of data. Okay. But right now the problem is we do not have the data with us, right? So we are enabling people. So we have built scrapers and on top of all of those things that can scrape data and
Mhm.
that can actually align data. I mean, when we have a audio plus a text data, the bigger part is alignment of the audio and the text. How do you align? Because
Mm.
the model limitation is that it cannot accept utterances more than 15 seconds of length. So you have to break down the audio into chunks of 15 seconds, and from that you need to create a transcript for those 15 seconds only, right? So I mean, this is a complete entire framework that is built blocks by blocks. So anybody who wishes to use or modify it, it's completely open source. Please go ahead and do it. If anybody contributes, then it would be good for us as well.
Very nice. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, we're very curious to understand, how did you make your journey into being a data scientist? Did you always start your career as a data scientist, or how did you start? What was that first project you worked on in data science, and how did that happen?
No, I actually started as a full stack JavaScript developer. So I was working on the main stack and the merge stack. And so for 2 years, I did that full stack development. Of course, that is a very good field to work as well. But data science was an altogether different field, and I got an opportunity to work with Infosys self-driving car team.
Oh,
So when Vishal Sikka came to Infosys, he actually created a self-driving car team with the professionals who would be taught on that technology and will build around the technology, the concepts of self-driving cars, how do cars see, how do cars navigate in an urban environment or so. So I got an opportunity to work on data science on that platform. And from there onwards, I picked on to multiple domains like healthcare, like retail, and then moving on to now speech recognition, right? So speech recognition is totally different than what we do with images. It has
hmm,
very limited connectivity, right? So I mean, the exposure you get is you get by employer. That is the first thing. But even if your employer, if you do not get an exposure via your employer, I think open source projects are the very key things that can differentiate in your life, right? So if you can contribute to any of the open source projects, I mean, like for example, Hugging Face for NLP has a lot of open source projects. If you want to contribute, go ahead and do that, and you will learn a lot of things for that. So if I have to start all together today, I would start like this only. I would pick an open source project or create my own open source project
hmm.
and start to build a community around it and start to give back to the community. I mean, that is the best way to learn data science, to get into the data science.
Very, very, very interesting. And while you were creating and building a community with your open source interests, roughly how many hours a week do you say you would spend on something like this, outside of your core work? Yeah.
Yes, so creating a community is kind of tough in the starting, right? Because when you do not get, because in the starting, the mission itself is not very clear. I mean, what you want to build and how. So things shape up as they get time. So
Yeah.
in starting, I think anywhere around 8 to 10 hours a week is
Mm,
sufficient enough. If you're devoting, even I would say that's maximum 8 to 10
mm,
hours a week. But if you want to do community events, with webinars or something like that, then that takes a bit of time to prepare for webinars and then present with people. So basically your motive should be to add value to other people's interests. Okay, so
okay.
that is the only way to thrive a community. So
Mm,
right now we are also evolving, and we are also not a very big community, but yes, we have just started, and we have started evolving to a larger audience so that more people can participate on it. So
understood.
India, so if you, for example, India has like 22 official languages. If every state students who are studying in the colleges or something, they start contributing to Vakyansh, the data, the voice data, then I think within a span of 6 to 7 months, we will have a big data set for every language in India, right?
Yeah.
So that changes the whole ball game.
Yeah.
All the startups that are looking to go local, I
Mm,
just seen that recently there is a trend. All the startups are going local, I mean, in local language. So all of these things will democratize. So 2025 or 2024 would not be the same like it is now. Okay, so Amazon would be offered in like 22 languages. Right now, they are offered only in two languages, Hindi and
very,
English.
very nice. Yeah. Yeah. That would be terrific if that were to happen. Yeah. So
Yeah.
you talked about how people should either join a current open source project or start an own one, and you were lucky enough to find your interest in Vakyansh. How did you know this is what you want to do as an open source project?
Yes. So, see, we were in talks with Xtep Foundation, and so from Xtep, there is Dr. Vivek Ragaman, who were our mentor, who is also happened to be the CFO for Aadhaar. So he was our mentor, and he wanted that this is our mission, and we want to democratize the area of speech recognition. At that time, as I said, in the starting, the vision is not clear, like how will things go, how will you go on collecting. But if you can engage with people more, I mean, that's what my thing is. If somebody is working as a data scientist and you get a chance to engage with him or her on the social platform or Twitter or something, then I think a lot of good ideas come into space. Okay. Just to give you an example, right now I was reading a thread on Twitter, and one of the persons said that he's building a tool which can actually compress a tweet. So it's saying, suppose you have a lot of ideas to do it, right? So, suppose if your tweet length is 500 words, how do you just convey it in the limit that Twitter provides, right? That is a very good project, if you ask me. I mean,
Yeah.
in the OpenAI space, it's a summarization and maybe summarization problem. But again, I mean, you get these ideas when you start interacting with a lot of people who are there working on the ground. Okay.
Right.
And a lot of people who, data science has a very good open community, I believe. And a lot of people are willingly sharing their knowledge and interest. And I think if people can engage with them, then it is good for everyone.
Understood. Okay. Now, given that you're on the, you're probably recruiting lots of data scientists for your team, uh, um, when you're interviewing people, what do you see missing that people can easily fix? That
I think the number one thing that I see in a resume is what is the project the person has worked on. Okay, so that is the topmost thing for me rather than anything else. Okay, if the projects are kind of trivial projects, I mean, which are required to learn the data science, then I'm kind of a bit shaky to proceed with difficult questions or complex questions. Okay,
Hmm.
because the type of projects describe you basically and
Hmm.
what is your complexity in terms of problems that you have solved.
Hmm.
Okay. So ideally, I do not want to hire someone so that a person comes to my team and gets overwhelmed with it, right? That is not my motive, right? So that is why our motive is to assess the complexity level of the person first. I mean, at what level it is, and it is described only by the projects somebody mentions on the resume. Okay. And the second is like the amount of data somebody has worked on. Okay. So I definitely ask a person, what is the maximum amount of data you have handled in production? Okay. So, I mean, it may not be a key metric, but it again tells me to the extent the level of the person, and it gives me a good idea. I mean, where this person would be a great fit and in which team this person will be a great fit.
Understood. Understood. Okay. And um, um, what are some of your favorite hacks or favorite tactics to more efficiently get your data science projects done faster or quicker?
Okay, so one of my favorite hack is that everybody forgets that we have 16 cores in a CPU, right? And we work only with one core.
Hmm.
So always work in a multi-threaded environment. I mean, whatever data you are processing or whatever thing you are doing, do it in a multi-processing way. And it saves a lot of time. For example, if I have to process a data which is worth 1,000 hours, it would take me around 3 or 4 days if I do it. But if I do it in parallel, it would only take me 4 to 5 hours. Okay, so that is a lot faster thing that you can do. And everybody forgets it's even on the simplest of PCs, even on Mac, there are 16 cores, 32 cores, and you can run the same copy of your program in all the 32 cores of the CPU and utilize them at full efficiency. So the only trick is to take full advantage of the hardware that you have currently.
Mhm.
So I would say that is my data science trick. And
Understood. Mhm.
just one more trick. When you're solving a problem, AI problem in the starting, just learn to constrain the problem in a controlled environment. Okay, so
Okay.
if you're able to solve the problem in a controlled environment, then I think you will be able to solve it in further environments. I mean, you cannot create an AI system that would work anywhere in the wild. Okay, firstly, it has to be in controlled environment, and then it has to go outside of its boundaries and perform.
Okay. Understood. And finally, Harveen, I noticed one of your LinkedIn posts about ML ops.
Yeah.
And this is a term I personally got from lots of members of our community. Could you
Yeah.
just kind of demystify what is MLOps?
Yes. So as we talked in this interview as well, so there are AI is basically model plus data, and model is basically the code and the algorithm, right? So a lot of people in the past few years have focused to change the code, keeping the data constant and get good results. Okay, like using the same data, how can you advance the algorithm to get good results? But right now we are getting a shift from a code-centric AI to a data-centric AI, where we are saying basically you can keep the code constant and you can start varying the data. Okay, and you can start varying the data by maybe cleaning the data in a better way, maybe labeling the data in a better way, and all of that thing. So basically you are devising a policy around data updation, data collection, and all of those stuff. So this is where ML ops come into picture. So for the maintenance of code, I mean, suppose you have version 1 of your code today and you release a version 2. So there is DevOps for that. For similar kind of thing for a data, if you have a version 1 of data today and you want to release the version 2 of data tomorrow, then that is handled by the MLOps, right? So it is termed as MLOps because ML engineers and data scientists are, I mean, the core people who are looking to devise policies around data collection and data labeling and all of those things. Okay, so we are saying DevOps plus MLOps is the
Mhm.
future because
Okay.
it's not always that the higher the data, your better your model is. You can also try to clean the existing data and get good results.
Mm.
Okay, and also you need to have a policy of your data updation. Like if you're building a stock market prediction model that predicts whether the stock will go up or down in the next day. Okay, and you trained a model. So if you trained a model for tomorrow and say if the model predicts it right, now you have another day which you want to account for, that is today. Okay, so how do you retrain your model? By adding the data of today. Okay, so if you add the data of today, then how are you going to restructure your data, whether you're going to drop the first day of the last third month or not? So all of these problems, I mean, devising around how do you merge data, how do you change the data labeling process, how do you define your data when the code is constant? So this all is a mystery that MLOps is solving as of now.
Okay. Thank you. Thanks, Harveen. That was very helpful, very inspiring as well, the kind of open source work you're doing. Thank you for taking time to talk to us.
Thank you, Vinny.